My mom dropped me off at boarding school when I was only 8 years old. She didn't visit me even once for 10 long years. Then, 13 years later, she called and asked me to pay her rent. My name is Elmira Thompson. I was just 8 years old when my entire world changed forever. It was a cold autumn morning in September. The leaves on the trees outside Westbrook Academy were turning golden and red, but I couldn't enjoy their beauty. My small hands were clutching my mother's coat tightly as we stood at the tall iron gates of the boarding school. The building looked huge and intimidating to my young eyes, like a castle from a storybook, but one where I was about to be left behind. My mother, Sarah Thompson, knelt down to my level. She had beautiful brown eyes the same as mine, but that day they looked tired and distant. She brushed my hair behind my ears and said softly, "Elmira, my sweet girl, you are going to study here. This is a very good school. You will make new friends, learn so many things, and become a strong and smart young lady. I will come to visit you very soon, I promise." She hugged me tightly. I could smell her familiar perfume, a mix of lavender and something warm that always made me feel safe. I buried my face in her shoulder and whispered, "Mommy, please don't leave me. I want to go home with you." She pulled back, wiped the tears from my cheeks, and smiled weakly. "Don't cry, baby, this is for your own good. Mommy has to work very hard now. I can't take care of you properly at home. Here you will have everything, teachers, food, a clean bed, and books. I'll call you every week and come for Thanksgiving. Okay?" I nodded slowly, even though my heart was breaking. I didn't want to make her sad. She gave me one last kiss on the forehead, stood up, and handed my small pink suitcase to the school staff member waiting nearby. As her car drove away down the long driveway, I stood there frozen, watching the red taillights disappear. That was the last time I saw my mother for the next 10 years. The first few weeks at Westbrook Academy were the hardest. I was placed in the junior dormitory with girls who were mostly older than me or had already been there for years. At night, when the lights went out at 9 p.m., I would pull the blanket over my head and cry silently into my pillow. I missed my mother's voice reading bedtime stories. I missed the way she would tuck me in and kiss my cheeks. I missed even the small arguments we sometimes had at home. My bed was in the corner of a large room with 10 other girls. Some of them were kind, but most were busy with their own lives. I was the youngest and the quietest. During the day, classes kept me occupied: math, English, science, history. But in the evenings, when other girls received letters or phone calls from their parents, I would sit alone near the window, staring at the empty courtyard. The school had strict rules. We woke up at 6:30 a.m., made our beds perfectly, attended morning assembly, had breakfast in the big hall, then went to classes. After school, there were sports, music lessons, and study hall. Everything was scheduled. There was no room for missing home too much. Mrs. Alina Calloway was my English teacher and the only person who seemed to notice my pain. She was in her late 50s with short gray hair and kind blue eyes. One day, after I failed to submit my homework because I had been crying all night, she called me to her office. "Elmira, dear, is everything all right?" she asked gently. I couldn't hold back. Tears started flowing as I told her how much I missed my mom and how she hadn't called even once in 3 weeks. Mrs. Calloway didn't say much. She simply pulled me into a warm hug and let me cry. From that day, she became my silent guardian. She would sometimes keep me after class to talk, give me extra books to read, or let me sit in her small office during lunch if I felt overwhelmed. She never replaced my mother, but she gave me the first sense of warmth in that cold boarding school. Years passed slowly. I turned 9, then 10. Every holiday, Christmas, Easter, summer break, most girls went home. I stayed behind. The school had a small group of holiday boarders like me, but it was never the same. While others returned with stories of family trips, new clothes, and home-cooked meals, I returned with new books I had read alone in the library. I learned to survive. I became excellent in studies. Books became my escape. I read stories of orphans, adventurers, and strong heroines who faced the world alone. Their courage inspired me. I joined the school debate club, the drama society, and the swimming team. On the outside, I looked like a confident, well-behaved student. Inside, there was still a little 8-year-old girl waiting for her mother to return. I wrote letters to my mother every month. Long, detailed letters describing my days, my grades, my small achievements. Sometimes I would draw pictures for her. I never received a single reply. The school office confirmed that the letters were being sent to the address my mother had provided, but there was no response. When I was 12, I had a bad case of pneumonia. I spent 2 weeks in the school infirmary with high fever. The nurse was kind, but at night when the fever made me delirious, I would call out for my mommy. No one came. Mrs. Calloway visited me every evening after her classes. She brought soup and sat by my bed, reading stories until I fell asleep. That year on my birthday, I waited by the phone booth for hours, hoping my mother would call. The phone never rang. I celebrated alone with a small cupcake that one of the kitchen staff secretly gave me. As I entered my teenage years, the pain didn't disappear, it just changed shape. It turned into anger mixed with deep sadness. I started questioning everything. Why did she leave me? Did she ever love me? Was I a burden to her? These questions haunted me during quiet moments. I made a few close friends over the years. Sophia was my best friend, a tall girl with curly hair whose parents lived abroad. She understood loneliness better than most. We would sit on the rooftop during free time and talk about our dreams. She wanted to become a doctor. I wanted to become a writer so I could write the stories I never got to live. Sophia once asked me, "Don't you hate your mom for leaving you here?" I thought for a long time and replied, "I don't know. Sometimes I miss her so much it hurts. Other times I feel nothing. It's like a part of me has gone numb." The years continued. I turned 15, 16, 17. I excelled in academics and was among the top students every year. Teachers praised me. I won awards in essay writing and public speaking. But every success felt incomplete because there was no one to share it with. Then came the day of my high school graduation. I was 18 years old. The auditorium was filled with proud parents, siblings, and relatives. The air was buzzing with excitement and camera clicks. When my name was announced, Elmira Thompson, I walked across the stage in my black gown, received my diploma, and shook hands with the principal. People clapped loudly. I looked at the crowd, searching desperately for one familiar face. My mother had received the invitation 2 months earlier. She had even replied with a short message. "I will try to come." I had allowed myself to hope. But the seat I had reserved for her remained empty. No one stood up for me. No proud mother wiping tears. No one shouting my name with joy. After the ceremony, while other families took pictures and went for celebratory dinners, I sat alone on a bench outside the auditorium. Mrs. Calloway found me there. She sat beside me without saying anything for a long time. Finally, she spoke. "You did it, Elmira. You made it through all these years with incredible strength. I am so proud of you." That was the first time someone said they were proud of me in a motherly way. I cried in her arms that evening, not because I was sad about my mother's absence, but because I realized I had survived despite everything. After graduation, I left Westbrook Academy with a scholarship for college. I studied literature and creative writing at a good university. I worked part-time jobs as a waitress, a tutor, and later as a research assistant to support myself. I built friendships, learned to cook, managed my finances, and slowly started healing. During college, I tried to contact my mother a few times. Once I found her new phone number through distant relatives. When I called, she sounded surprised but happy to hear my voice. We talked for 10 minutes. She told me she had been busy with work and her own problems. She didn't apologize. She didn't ask about my life in detail. The conversation felt polite but empty. Over the next few years, our contact remained minimal, occasional birthday texts or holiday calls. There was no real relationship. I stopped expecting anything from her. I graduated from college with honors. I started working as a content writer and later became a published author of short stories. My first book was about a young girl finding strength in loneliness. Many readers connected with it deeply. Life was moving forward. I was 28, then 30, then 32. I had my own small apartment, a circle of good friends, and a career I loved. The scars from my childhood were still there, but they no longer controlled me. Then one ordinary Tuesday evening my phone rang. The number was unknown. I picked it up. "Elmira, it's me, your mother." Her voice sounded older and tired. There was a long pause. She continued, "I need your help, sweetheart. I'm in trouble. The landlord says if I don't pay the rent by next week they will evict me. I need $3,000. You're the only person I can turn to now." I felt a strange mix of emotions, shock, anger, sadness, and something like numbness. I took a deep breath and asked the question that had lived inside me for more than 2 decades. "Mom, where were you on my high school graduation day? I waited for you. I looked for you in the crowd." There was complete silence on the other end for almost 40 seconds. I could hear her breathing. Finally, she said in a low voice, "That was so many years ago, Elmira. Why bring up the past now? I was going through a very difficult time back then. I had my own struggles. Can we please focus on the present? I really need this money." Her words felt like a cold splash of water. I replied calmly but firmly, "I built my entire life by myself. From the age of 8, I learned to sleep alone, study alone, celebrate alone, and heal alone. When I was sick, when I was afraid, when I graduated, when I achieved something, you were never there. Not once in 10 years did you visit. Not once did you reply to my letters. You left me at that gate and drove away. You didn't raise me, you parked me there like unwanted luggage." She tried to interrupt, but I paid the school fees. I cut her off gently. Paying fees is not the same as being a mother. Being a mother means showing up. It means holding your child when they cry. It means being there on important days. You gave me shelter and education, but you never gave me love or presence. Her voice cracked a little. "I'm sorry, Elmira, I made mistakes. But I'm your mother. Blood is thicker than water. Please help me this one time." I closed my eyes. Tears were rolling down my cheeks, but my voice remained steady. "I have forgiven you a long time ago, Mom. Not for you, but for my own peace. But forgiveness doesn't mean I have to fix your problems now. I cannot be your emergency backup after being invisible to you for so many years. I hope you find another way to solve this. Take care of yourself." I hung up the phone. That night I cried harder than I had in many years. Not because I refused her, but because the little 8-year-old girl inside me finally got to say what she had wanted to say for so long. I cried for all the birthdays I spent alone, for all the nights I wished for a mother's hug, for the graduation day when I stood alone on stage, and for the mother I never really had. The next morning I woke up feeling lighter. For the first time I had chosen myself without guilt. Today, at 32 years old, I live a peaceful life. I have published 2 books. I mentor young girls who come from difficult backgrounds. I have learned that family is not always about blood, it is about who shows up for you. My mother taught me the hardest lesson of my life. Real strength is born in loneliness. Self-love is not selfish. Sometimes it is the only way to survive. If you are reading this and you have been abandoned, neglected, or left behind by someone who was supposed to love you, know this: you are not broken. You are not unworthy. You are capable of building a beautiful life even if no one helped you in the beginning. Your story is not defined by those who left you. It is defined by how courageously you rose despite the pain. The end.